Hello and welcome back. I've had a number of questions this week as to whether I'm still earthing up my potatoes. Well, this is the second earthing up of my potato crop, and around about a month ago, if you remember, there was nothing going on here at all. And a month's worth of growth and we've got this, and yes, I'm still earthing up potatoes. Remember, the rule is let the stems get to 8 inches and then earth them up to 6 inches. Now, because I've got a micro allotment here, I've not got a lot of soil to actually pull up around the plants, so I am actually topping up with either topsoil or some good compost. So I've done that across the bed now, and this will encourage them to grow on. And remember, earthing up is all about stopping the light from getting to your tubers, stopping those tubers from drying out, because if the light does get to your tubers, then effectively they'll go green, and that's when they're poisonous. So that's this bed effectively done. Now, if you remember, and you've been following the videos, we did some potatoes in pots, and here is one lot of the potatoes in pots. And we've just discovered a family of spiders, look, that have made their happy home in our potato pot. So there you go, we disturbed those today. But as you can see as well, this needs a good top up. Now I'm going to top this right up to the brim, okay? And then that will be the final topping for this particular pot itself. So we give it a really good top up, and won't have to top this up anymore, essentially. And there you go, that's virtually topped up now as far as we can take it. And now we're just waiting for flowers to actually form, and once the flowers form, effectively we'll have an indication that it's ready and prepared to be harvested. The crop is ready and ripe for us, but I expect those plants to double and treble in size before we're actually at that point. So there's my potatoes done. And you know, earthing up potatoes in a bed, you might do 2 or 3 times, sometimes even 4 times. And in this gorgeous weather, things are just growing so quickly, aren't they? Now, because we've got this absolutely fabulous weather, and there is no frost forecast now until, you know, well beyond, well, no frost forecast at all. So I'm going to pop my runner beans in. So we're going to move backwards, and it's finally time to get runner beans in. And these have been hardening off, and I'm a big believer in using toilet roll tubes for this reason. Look, they're really good as a root trainer, hold on to water, guide your roots down, and that's where you want them to be. And look at this, guys, absolutely superb growth. Now, on a day like today, which is absolutely scorching hot, and I think we're standing here at around about 22, 23 degrees. If you're going to plant, it's fine, no problem at all with your planting, but take out your planting hole, obviously deep enough to get your bean in. And with runner beans, you really need them close to the cane, and then you need to give them enough water that they can actually establish themselves. So we pour that into the hole. And then we just let that drain through. Now, these runner beans are called Scarlet Emperor. And the reason why I chose them is they're a really solid bean, number one, to actually harvest. But the second thing is they actually produce really blousy flowers. So runner beans give you height to your allotment areas. And these really, really blousy flowers will look really, really ornamental while you're waiting for that crop to actually establish itself. So choose something like that. And there's a whole range of them, folks, that you can actually get your hands on. But something like Scarlet Emperor gives you this lovely showy colour before you actually have the harvest, so you get twice the amount out of a plant like that. So have a look around, choose them, and you could alternate on an obelisk like this and have one particular cultivar and another particular cultivar. Now, the other thing about growing beans and legumes is they fix nitrogen into the soil. So once I've planted these, then I'm going to plant other things around it, things like radish and beetroot, because they will help to fertilise those plants. They'll pull the nitrogen in, and those other plants can actually fix onto that nitrogen and grow away really well. Now, that hole is virtually drained. We're going to leave it in its tube and get these roots going, look, and then effectively we're going to pop this into the hole. and just make sure it's well down, and then just slide that compost into it and around it. Now these plants will twine, so I don't really tie them in. If it was a breezy day, I'd give them a good tie, but what I do is I actually wrap the stems around, look, and they're almost self-clinging by that point in time. Now once we've done that and we've watered in on top, we need to give some water. Sorry, we watered underneath, we need to give some water on top. Then remember, rows down, right at the base of the plant, and wherever you're watering your plants, folks, that's where the water needs to be. It needs to be right at the base of the plant so that it can just sit there for a couple of moments, look, and then it'll percolate down. And that really is enough water for that plant to actually have at this particular point in time. So I'm going to put 6 runner beans in against my 6 canes for this obelisk. I'm going to have a showy display of flowers, as well as I'm going to have a really cracking crop of runner beans to actually harvest. Now, because there is no frost, I've broken my own rule, because I don't put tomatoes out until the 1st of June. But obviously we are where we are, and I'm going to plant my tomatoes. And this is a plum type, so I've got a plum type tomato here. And here they are. We're going to give this a good water before we actually plant. And again, I'm going to pop 3 in here, and I've got some good old-fashioned moneymaker tomatoes that are going to come out. Now we've made our mark, and we're just going to dig down again, and exactly the same processes, look, that we actually followed out with the beans, we're going to do for our tomatoes. We're effectively going to take a hole out that's deep enough for our pot, and you know when you take your planting hole out for anything, try the pot again and see if it's deep enough. That's deep enough, look. And remember, earlier on in the season I put some really well rotted compost and manure on this, and then we just give that a little bit of a watering. So pop some water in there so it's got water around the roots. There you go, and we'll just let that drain a little bit. And then tomatoes outside are great, you know, as long as you've hardened these off, then they'll do you really good stocks, and you'll be able to harvest things. And along this strip here I've put some strawberries in. We've got our fruit, we've got blackberry, raspberry, gooseberry, things like that. And Charlotte's actually sown some runner beans, so I'm going to pop some runner beans up against the fence as well. And effectively what we're trying to do is use as much of the ground that we've actually got in our micro allotment as we can. So let's get our tomato in, enough talk, and literally just give it a little bit of squeeze through. And look at this, folks, this plant hasn't been in this pot for too long, about a week, and you can already see the roots are actually starting to wander through. So this is really ready to get away. So let's try and get it in the hole without collapsing the compost. So pop it in, and then we just gently tease and just firm it into the ground around it. Now plant them deep, tomatoes, so do push them down and plant them right up to the first set of leaf joints. And the reason we do that is because it actually encourages more roots to actually form. So do plant your tomatoes deep. And you know, we're going to put a cane in here and get the split canes out and pop a cane in here once this has put on a little bit more growth. And then finally, as we did with the runner beans, we're going to give that a really good drink in the ground. Now notice I've not used any fertiliser in the hole, because I don't really believe in it. I think if you've got good compost and it's still in its pot, then effectively you know, that will have enough fertiliser to actually get it away and to establish itself. And then we're going to be topping up with a tomato feed like Tomarite, and you're going to be doing that perhaps once a week, okay, which is a high potash feed. Now at this particular point in time, it's around about tea time. So, and I have been told that I've got burgers for tea. Okay, so I am going to harvest myself some salad leaves and, you know, a few little radishes. So come and have a look over here, folks. I'm so proud. Have a look. So here we go. Here's my salad leaves. And if you can come in and just have a look at the radishes we've got here that's actually starting to come through. They're absolutely gorgeous, look. And let's just pull one of these out. And that's one of the tiny ones actually. So you know, there are some really long ones. So I'm going to pull 2 or 3 of those so you can see them. And you can get an idea that, you know, this is a lovely crop to grow. And these are quite woody in taste. There you go. There's a bigger one, look. And you know, I'm sure Charlotte's going to share you know, a radish or 2. Here's a really nice long one, look. And then we're going to top those up with a little bit of salad leaf. And remember, these are a cut and come crop, so as long as you don't take the centre of the plant out, they'll carry on producing leaves. Some people would just take a big knife, bunch it together and chop it across. You can do that. I prefer scissors. So we're just going to literally take some leaves out, pop them into my little basket, look. And here we go, folks. And this is the joy of growing your own veg, isn't it? Because I've not had to run down to the supermarket. I've not had to spend, you know, loads of money on things that actually I can grow in my own garden. So that's about it for this video. A short but sweet one. Yes, still earth up your potatoes. Get your runner beans in, because, you know, at the end of the day, there's not going to be any more frosts. Get your tomatoes out, get them underway. It's beautiful weather. It's fabulous weather to be spending in the garden. I'm going to carry on harvesting my salad leaves, and I'm really looking forward to my burger tonight. Keep gardening, keep subscribing, keep spreading the message. Gardening is good for your health and your well-being, mind, body and spirit. And don't forget, I'll see you in the next video along.